Yeah. Welcome everyone to the Alberta Real Estate Predicament, creative solutions to a big challenge. My name is Dave Dubeau. It's my pleasure to be the MC for the evening, and our featured presenter tonight is my good friend, Mr. Ken Beaton. Ken's calling in all the way from lovely Almont, Ontario. How are things out east nowadays there, Ken?
Oh, it's been a beautiful summer and fall so far. Gorgeous.
Just rub it in. It's raining like crazy here in Kamloops and miserable.
Ah,
All get
that's
out.
too bad. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sure that. All right, and we got Mark from Wetaskiwin. Welcome. Ralph from Edmonton. Bruce from Calgary. All right, good job, everybody. Good to see everybody on the call. All right. And Mark, you got a question there, but also I'll save that and we'll ask that a little bit later on as we go through the presentation. So again, I'll be the MC tonight. Any questions that you have, go ahead, type them in the question box. And Ken, let's get her rolling. So if you don't mind going to the next slide, my friend. So because Ken is such a modest guy, I'll be the guy that'll blow up his tires a little bit there. So I've known Mr. Ken Beaton for 10 years now. We first met way back in 2006 at a Fast Track Super Conference, I believe. And well, we met a little earlier than that, but that's when we first met face to face, I believe, was in
Southern Ontario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a while, my friend. And Ken, definitely the real deal when it comes to a qualified, experienced Canadian real estate investor. You name it, Ken has done it, all the way from single-family homes, flips, rent-to-own deals, creative deals galore. And Ken is probably best known for multifamily properties, although, like I say, he's got experience doing pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to real estate investing. So Ken will be telling a little bit about his story, but he got started in real estate investing after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and promptly took massive action, invested a lot of money and effort into his real estate investing education, put that to good use, and he and his lovely wife Joanne currently have a portfolio somewhere in the range of 170 doors, if I'm not mistaken. I had the pleasure of co-authoring Creative Real Estate Investing for Canadians with Ken, and Ken and Joanne wrote the book, How to Buy and Manage Investment Property. So one of the things that I really appreciate about having Ken do this presentation tonight is we're talking about the Alberta real estate predicament, so the current situation of the market in Alberta. And that has a lot of people really, really nervous. It has a lot of people who are just wondering, should they be getting out of the market? Should they just be kind of hunkering down and hoping for the best? Or what should they be doing? So the reason I really appreciate having Ken talk about this is he's been through the same situation himself in Ontario. Plus, Ken lived for several years in Alberta, so he's very familiar with the Alberta market as well. So it's not just one of these theoretical kind of what would I do if. This is something that Ken has actually done himself. And Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, but actually, if I'm not mistaken, you built up the bulk of your portfolio and your net worth in these kind of markets. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep. That's correct, Dave.
All right. Perfect. Let's go to the next slide, if you would, my friend. All right. So what are we going to be covering today? So we'll quickly go over Ken's background and what qualifies him to talk about investing in challenging markets, what's happening right now in Alberta. Chances are if you're living in Alberta, you don't necessarily need a reminder, but you do need a reminder about what the good part of what's happening now in Alberta is and why now is a good time to invest. Also, we're going to be looking at what kind of properties should you be looking at and where should you be buying these properties. So we'll be going over all of this as well as giving you an invitation to a special one-day Jumpstart boot camp that we're going to be doing one in Edmonton and another one in Calgary this month in September. So we'll be telling you all about that, how you can attend this very, very low-cost, high-value Jumpstart boot camp. So with that, take it away, Mr. Beaton.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Dubeau. All right, so just a little bit of background before we get started, just so you understand where I'm coming from. I certainly wasn't born with that silver spoon. This is a snapshot of where I grew up as a child. It's the family campground, and it was a business, part-time business for my parents. And I met my beautiful wife here at the campground, and we decided to get married and raised 3 daughters, and we decided to do this at the campground. So we paid the price financially, though, because we did struggle big time with finances, barely scratched out a living, and as a result I was always looking for secondary sources of income, which is why I tried my hand as a driver's education instructor. I drove a school bus for 15 years. I did snow plowing. I was a handyman. You name it, I pretty much did it during the 80s and 90s in order to make a living, so that we could basically just keep our head above water and on a financial level. So that's what I was doing until 2001, when I read this little book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this is written by Robert Kiyosaki, and literally this book changed my life. My focus went from running the campground to now looking at real estate. I saw that real estate was the solution for us financially, and one of my part-time jobs earlier was as a real estate agent, so I understood the value of this. So that's why and how we started to invest in real estate. As Dave alluded, we do have a portfolio in around 170 units, doors, and this was acquired in a very short period of time. Probably about 5 or 6 years we acquired this size of a portfolio, but that was after I invested a lot of money in myself and Joanne through education and personal development in order to achieve our goal. So people ask, where's my focus for investing? A lot of people ask, why don't I invest in other markets? Well, I've got what I figured to be a very good market to invest right in my own backyard, and that's the small city of Brockville and the large town of Smith Falls. That's where we focus all of our attention right now, and both of these markets are experiencing or have been experiencing economic struggles over the years. So why am I focusing on markets with economic struggles? Well, in both of these markets, the industries have been closing and people have been losing their jobs. And I'm not talking about the mom and pop jobs. I'm talking about the Hershey chocolate factory in Smith Falls that shut down, and they lost 600 or 700 jobs in one closure. There's the Black & Decker tool shop in Brockville, Stanley Tools in Smith Falls. These are all very big name industries that had high income jobs, and the people replace those high income jobs with lower income jobs, which means a lot of people unfortunately become tenants. Now, one of the things I learned is that people don't want to leave their community. They become very attached. They could be second, third, fourth generation growing up there, and they simply do not want to leave their community. I also realized that over time these towns and cities will rebound or recreate themselves. They'll learn from their mistakes. It's actually quite interesting how historically Smith Falls has gone through several cycles in their economy, because they were the railroad hub for Eastern Ontario for the longest time, until the railroad industry took a major hit, and then they had to recreate themselves. Now they've gone through this other cycle where they've lost a lot of jobs, like Hershey, and they're now recreating themselves once again. So these markets are rebounding, and I'm very happy to say that our investments are doing extremely well in these markets. Then there's the
Okay,
question.
So just a second. That's
Yep,
great.
sure.
How does that relate to what's going on in Alberta?
Well, we're going to see what's going on in Alberta shortly, and you can relate back to, I'll connect it back to what I've experienced here in these two small markets.
All right, sounds good. I'm just a simple guy. I need the dots connected, buddy.
Don't leave yourself that wide open, Dave, okay? All right, so why real estate in itself? Well, the lifestyle, I never in my wildest dreams ever thought that we would be living the current lifestyle we live now, in the house that we lived, the traveling that we're doing, the friends that we have, given where I came from, because when we were operating that campground, my focus was so short-sighted. I couldn't see anything other than what we were doing at that time. So the lifestyle is fantastic. The financial freedom, the security, and the control over my future. These are all fantastic benefits of real estate, because now with the financial freedom, we're able to Joanne and I both work extremely hard today, but it's not because we have to, it's because we want to. We love doing what we're doing, and we've got the option to do what we want, not what we have to do. Recession resistant. It never dawned on me until 2007, 2008 when we had that financial meltdown in the markets, and a lot of people lost a lot of net worth. In our particular case, our net worth actually climbed because our portfolio grew in value. And it's during these downturns in the markets that the real estate portfolio grows, because when people are losing their homes, having to take lower paying jobs, unfortunately, many of these individuals, unfortunately for them, many of these individuals become tenants. Fortunately for us, that's clients for us, which means that we have lower vacancies, therefore higher returns on our investments, and our property values go up. And the fact that I can now control my future. I can buy more properties if I want. I can fix them up. I can maintain them. I can manage them myself. I can do whatever I want. I've got control of my future now. Now, I'm sure many people have heard the phrase, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's something I heard so much as a child, especially at the campground. I would hear people say this all the time. That was their mindset. But there's a lot of truth to this as well, especially during the economic downturns. Now, a lot of people don't understand why this is, and I see two reasons for it. The first one is ignorance, and the second one is fear. Ignorance because people don't know any different, and a lot of people don't want to know any different. They just don't want to understand this. Fear because they just don't want to take any risks or perceived risks in investing in anything else or doing anything other than the job they currently have. With respect to the Alberta market right now, there was a TD report that I read. It says Alberta's economy doing worse than expected. Ooh, scary. Alberta lost more jobs last year than in any year since 1982 recession. Wow, that's a pretty scary number when you look at it like that. So there's lots of doom and gloom out there. Why is there so much doom and gloom? Well, that's what people are attracted to. That's what they like to hear, and that's what they're being fed by the media all the time, so they start to believe it. Most people's perception is that there's a mass exodus of people leaving the province of Alberta. Yes, there are more people leaving Alberta than there are coming at this particular time, but I certainly wouldn't say it's a mass exodus. However, that's what people's perception is, and that's the important thing, is what people's perception is. My perception as an investor is that Alberta is now on sale. There's going to be bargains galore. You just need to start looking for them and understand where these bargains are. So let's look at why Alberta is actually on sale right now. So we've got the low oil prices. Not only does that affect Alberta, that affects all of Canada, the Canadian economy, but it really hits home in Alberta because that's where all these high-paying jobs are. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are experiencing unemployment, and they're having to take lower-paying jobs, and a lot of people are leaving the province of Alberta, going back to their original place of residence to find other sources of income, employment, and again, that drives home the fact that people want to live where they were originally born. So like I was saying, in Smith Falls and Brockville, people don't like to leave unless they have to leave. So why else? Well, this is a big one. There's a new government in Alberta. It's with a very socialist agenda, and the question is, are they going to change the Residential Tenancy Act? Well, a lot of people are concerned about that because they saw what this social government did in Ontario, and they changed the Residential Tenancy Act in Ontario big time. They've already changed one act, or one rule within the Residential Tenancy Act, which I don't agree with. I understand why they did it, but I certainly don't agree with it, and I'm sure there's going to be many more rule changes as well. So that is...
What rule did they change? Don't leave us wondering what it was.
Oh no, you gotta contact me. No, I'm just kidding. and I'm probably going to mess it up. It's in the event that I'm going to say a woman is being abused. It doesn't have to be a woman, but most likely it would be a woman in an abused situation. She can vacate her apartment, her rental unit, without any notice,
Huh.
which is good for her. So I understand.
Abuse.
I understand, why they're doing it and the benefit to her. However, who pays the price? There's nobody compensating the landlord for having a vacancy now for a month or 2 months, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't consider the effect on the landlords. It's all, with this socialist agenda, it's all about the tenants and protecting their rights, which they deserve to be protected, don't get me wrong, but they need to have a balance. So there's lots of other rumblings out there as well. Are they going to create rent control, sort of like what they have here in Ontario a little bit? Are they going to bring in new sales taxes? That's I won't be surprised if that comes within the next year or two. So there's lots of things going on that are creating fear in Albertans. So bad news sells. Why is that? Well, I read this really interesting article. I won't get into it in detail, but we are mentally wired to look for danger. That's how we survived back in the caveman days. Well, our mind hasn't evolved that much. Some people's have, ours haven't, Dave. Sorry to break the news. But anyways, our minds have not evolved to the point to override this danger mechanism. And in today's media, we link danger with negative stories, bad news, and that's why we're attracted to these bad news stories. So if you watch, read the newspaper, watch the news, you're going to see that more than 90% of the news is bad news. And the sad thing is, if a newspaper was created with just good news stories, they'd go broke in no time because nobody would read it. So this isn't a real surprise to anybody. I think we're all aware of this. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. The question is, what about all the good news stories? Is there anything happening out there that is good news? Absolutely there is, but the average person isn't seeing that. And what the average person is experiencing is all the fear and the worry because they're focusing on the bad news. Whereas the educated investors, they're looking at it as an opportunity because they realize that real estate is a real estate cycle. So let's talk about what a real estate cycle actually is. So I think we've also heard the saying that what goes up must come down. And real estate is no different. Real estate cannot physically keep going up in values. There has to be market adjustments periodically. So when you have an adjustment, the price comes down. And as you can see here, it's that wavy line in the middle of the screen there. The price goes up, the price goes down. But then you see that it comes back up again. So what goes down will come up. And as an educated investor, I know that there's going to be an upward trend in the values. So that begs the question then, when is the best time to actually buy real estate? Well, I think the obvious answer is going to be at the bottom of the real estate cycle. However, the challenge is, when does this happen? Nobody really knows when the bottom hits until it's too late and it starts to rebound. So the absolute best time to buy is at any time on the cycle as long as the property cash flows properly. It's making you a profit. So it doesn't matter whether you're at the top, the bottom, on the way down, or on the way up. As long as that property is cash flowing, that is the ideal time to buy. Now, there's bonuses though. So when you have interest rates that are, like they are right now, historically low, that is a bonus. When you're buying houses that are dropping in value, there's the potential to have better cash flow then. These are all bonuses. These are the best times to buy real estate. When banks tighten lending criteria, a lot of people perceive this as being a bad thing because appraisals are going to be more conservative now. And I see this a lot where the banks are actually instructing the appraisal companies to come in at the low end, be very conservative. The appraisers are coming in at the low end to protect their own backside so that if the market does drop, the banks can't come back and potentially sue them. So having these appraisals come in at a lower price is driving the values down. It's also creating fewer qualified buyers. And with fewer qualified buyers chasing properties, again, simple supply and demand means the prices are potentially dropping. So these are good opportunities to buy. So Should you buy now? Well, the question is, can you ride that wave of future appreciation? Are there discounted houses available out there right now that you could take advantage of? Are there any motivated sellers willing to discount or be creative when they're selling their houses? And are there potentially better cash flowing opportunities? Absolutely. All four of those are available right now. How about, is there any less competition because of uneducated investors? So the uneducated investors are scared, they're fearful, they're stepping back out of the investment game, therefore there's less competition for us.
So does that mean that dentists and doctors are bailing right now?
Sorry, the dentists and doctors are bailing?
Dentists and doctors are bailing out of being real estate investors now?
No, but the people who are actually doing the investing on behalf of the doctors and dentists might be, and that's good. So there's still money out there.
The best time to get out of the real estate market is when you start seeing dentists and doctors buying properties. That's
oh, sorry. I missed that one, Dave. Sorry.
So just a reminder to everybody, because we've had a lot of people come on after we got started. Go ahead, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the question box, and I'll either ask them if they're applicable as we're going along, or at the end we'll be opening up for Q&A as well.
Perfect. All right, so is there less competition out there for us? In other words, there's fewer investors chasing those properties because the uneducated investors are scared. Are the interest rates low? They're historically low right now. Can we get better terms such as a vendor take-back and or inclusions when we're negotiating deals? We can get all of these things right now. So let's talk a little bit more about why I see this happening. So here we have the real estate cycle that we showed earlier. What goes up or what goes down will come up eventually. So where exactly is the Alberta real estate market on this real estate cycle? I don't believe it's at the peak anymore. I think it's on its way down, but where is it on the way down? I have no idea. And if you ask any expert out there, nobody really knows exactly where it is on that real estate cycle. But what I do know for a fact is that it's going to come back up. It's just a matter of time, and we're going to be able to ride that wave of appreciation then. How about if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market? Well, what's the difference? A seller's market is where you have more buyers available than there are houses. You have more buyers, sorry, looking for houses than there are houses available. So this is what's happened back in the early mid-2000s when you had this huge influx of workers coming into Alberta. They were all looking for houses to buy. They had lots of money to spend, but there were very few houses available. As a result of that, that drove the house prices up dramatically, very fast as well. Then there's the balanced market where you have an equal number of sellers and buyers, and there's always going to be people buying and selling property because people are downsizing through age, or the family's growing, or people are moving here and there. So there's always transactions happening in real estate, but when you have an equal number like this, it's not driving the price up or down, so that's what we call a balanced market, and it's going sideways. Then there's the buyer's market. So here's when you've got more sellers trying to sell their houses than you have buyers wanting to buy the houses. And when you have this, the buyers are able to be more selective. They can negotiate harder. If they're not able to get the deal they want on the house that they're looking at, they can say, fine, not a problem, there's another house down the street. So we're seeing that more and more, and when that happens, then the sellers have to start to lower their prices in order to be competitive to attract the buyers to buy their house. And this is what I believe the Alberta market is currently in. And when they're in a buyer's market like that, this is when you get motivated sellers. And motivated sellers spell opportunity for investors like myself. There's also the effect of the bank rules. So we'll take a look at the residential bank rules first. It wasn't all that long ago that we were able to do 100% financing on houses. Well, that's no longer the case. If you're buying a single-family house for an investment, or anything up to 4 units actually, you have to put 20% down. It wasn't, again, too long ago that they didn't really care where the down payment came from. That's no longer the case either. There's a lot of issues with crime, money laundering, and terrorist activity, so they've created very strict guidelines as to what you can use for down payment sources, and they want to know exactly where it's coming from. So they're making it very, very difficult. It used to be that you could also have as many residential mortgages as you wanted as well, as providing that you could personally qualify for each and every mortgage. Well, that is no longer the case. Just recently they changed the rules so that you can only have 5 residential mortgages, including your own personal residence. So what happens is, again, a lot of uneducated investors are going to look at all of these new rule changes as challenges that they don't know what to do, how to get around them. So their mind is closed, so they stop. And that's good news for us, because that means there's fewer investors chasing those properties. And this is what I teach people, how to do this, how to get around these roadblocks. So I also teach creative real estate strategies, and I teach people how to use other people's money, secondary finance strategies, how to pull your own equity back out of a property and leverage it for other property, recycling down payments as well, how to find those deals. And this is a big one, though. This is one that a lot of people don't really grasp until they're exposed to it. It's to learn to think creatively and to simply change your language from "I can't do that" to "how can I do that?" And it's amazing how that opens up so many different opportunities for you. With respect to the commercial bank rules, again, many people believe that you can only go up to 65, maybe 75% loan to value. That's not the case, because you can actually go up to 85% for residential commercial properties, so an apartment building, for example. Oh, interest rates are extremely high for commercial as well, and today when our interest rates are 2 and 3% for residential, commercial rates are going to be at least 5 or 8%. Well, that's not the case. I'm actually working with a student right now who's looking at an apartment building. He has a quote for a mortgage amount over $1 million, and it's a 30-year amortization, which you can't get for residential mortgages, and a 10-year term, which you can't get for residential mortgages, at 2.5%. Wow. If he went for a 5-year term, he could have got 2.1%. That's ridiculously low.
That's awesome.
Sorry, yeah. Also difficult to qualify for the mortgage. A lot of people believe because it's commercial. I think they just tie difficult with the word commercial, and they just sort of do a blanket on that. But it's really not that difficult to qualify for commercial. It's actually easier to qualify for commercial than it is for residential, because what the banks look at is the quality of the property and the income that it generates in order to support the debt that they're going to put on that property. They still look at the individual, but they only look at the individual to guarantee that debt. They don't look at the individual to actually qualify for the debt. Big difference. Banks used to lend at any value on properties. It had to be realistic, but I mean, the value of the properties were going up and up and up, and the banks didn't really seem to care. They kept lending. That's no longer the case. The commercial lenders are extremely conservative right now, and this mindset or activity is actually forcing property values down, because buyers are not willing to pay full price for a property if the bank is not willing to finance it based on that price anymore. So again, what's happening, there's fewer and fewer buyers looking at the properties, and the sellers have to adjust their prices and bring the prices down and or get creative with terms and conditions. So yeah, the conservative lending creates better vendor take-back opportunities and favorable terms with sellers as well. Another student, I'm doing 2 deals right now with students. The second student, it's a small commercial. We just did an 80% loan to value with a VTB at 4%. So that meant that the student didn't have to even go to the bank to qualify for the mortgage, simply because the seller understood it was going to be more difficult for him to get the price he was asking, which was not unrealistic because the rent supported it. But he understood the market conditions have changed, and in order to make it easier to sell the property, he made it easier for the student to buy the property. So these are opportunities to become creative. All right, so we now know why prices are dropping in Alberta, and we also understand the why now is a really good time to actually be looking at buying properties. So the question is, what should we be looking at and where should we be looking at to buy? So let's take a look at what current homeowners are selling or buying in the market right now. Most are selling the $400,000 to $800,000 homes. These are the expensive homes that the high income earners have been buying up over the past years. Unfortunately, it's the high income earners who are paying the biggest price when they're losing their jobs and they can't afford these homes. And many of these people, when they sell their homes, they're looking at buying much more affordable homes if they can, if they are able to save any of their equity in their first home. And they're also looking at doing some smarter things, in my opinion, where they're looking at homes either with a suite apartment in it or something that they can put an apartment in it. It's what they call a mortgage helper. And unfortunately, there's a lot of these homeowners, when they're selling their expensive homes, they've lost all of their equity. They don't have any equity or the ability to buy anything else, so they are becoming the renters. So the question is, are you going to be looking at single-family properties to buy, or are you going to be looking at the smaller multi-units to buy, or perhaps the larger multi-units? These are all the options that are out there. This truly depends, though, upon your own personal plan as to what path you should actually be taking with respect to your future. So you have to ask yourself these questions. When do you actually want to retire? Do you want to retire in 5 years? Do you want to retire in 15 years? It doesn't sound like a big difference in time frame, but there's a significant difference in plans that you're going to put in place to achieve either of those goals. How much do you actually need to retire? Do the math. You know, can you get by on $5,000 a month, or do you need $15,000 a month? Again, that's going to help you determine what you should be investing in. What resources do you have available to yourself, or what other people do you have available to help you achieve your goals? Do you want to start your investing in a small portfolio of single-family houses, or are you more interested in getting into the larger apartment deals and create a large portfolio like myself? So these are all questions that you need to ask yourself, and you have to keep in mind that there's really no right or wrong answer here. It's what works for you. What is your plan? But the key is you need to have a plan. You need to have a very clear plan in order to determine what direction you want to go in. So with respect to single-family properties, I believe you should be looking in the $300,000 to $350,000 price range. You want to be focusing on properties with a walkout basement, or at least have the ability to put in a separate entrance. This way you can create an apartment in the basement. A raised bungalow or ranch-style house is ideal for this because you have a nice high ceiling in the basement, large windows because they're up above the ground higher, so it doesn't really feel like you're living in a basement. Also look for properties with at least a double wide laneway so that when you do have a tenant, you're not doing the car shuffle, especially in the wintertime. You want to have the side-by-side and 2 cars deep if you can, and it would be a bonus if you could have the garage, because then you can charge extra rent for that garage as well. Definitely want to be in or near trendy neighborhoods, and what I mean by that is that every market has a neighborhood that's a little bit tired, run down, and it's going through a transition. You're starting to get some high-end specialty shops, coffee shops, nice restaurants. The whole neighborhood starts to change from that core moving out. So what you want to be is on the outside edge of that trendy neighborhood so you can take advantage of the appreciation moving forward. You also want to make sure that you're close to the public transit as well as shopping, schools, parks, etc., to take advantage of the easy access for your tenants. So whereabouts? Well, again, the upward trending neighborhoods, always keep that in mind. With the single-family homes, you want to be focusing on the lower middle class because this is the demographic that's growing the fastest. You've got the high-income earners who are being downsized. They're pushing down into the upper and middle class, and there's a ripple effect pushing down, and that middle class is actually growing. So that's the demographic that you want to look at for your single-family homes. You want to make sure that wherever you're investing in a diversified economy, so that when you do have some rough economic times like we're going through right now, you stand a better chance of riding those out. Investing in your backyard, absolutely, always recommend. If you can invest in your backyard, do so. And when I say backyard, I'm talking within a 1-hour drive of your home, so that you can keep an eye on the property, manage it yourself, possibly. If you're not able to do that and you have to invest outside of your backyard, that's not the end of the world. That's not a bad thing at all, actually, because you might be able to experience better deals outside of your backyard. The thing you need to keep in mind, though, is that the one most important aspect of investing outside of your backyard is to have a good, strong property management team in place. Then we take a look at apartment buildings. What I suggest you look at is purpose-built. So this is a 12-unit building on the right-hand side here. It's purpose-built. It wasn't built as a house and converted to an apartment building. It was designed and built as a 12-unit apartment building. You also, if you want to hire a on-site super, then you want to start looking at slightly larger buildings, probably 24 units. At that point in time, the revenue that it generates can support an on-site supervisor. You want to focus on walk-ups. So you see in this particular building here, this is what we call a 2.5-story. It's all walk-up. There's no elevators. There's no balconies. It's what I call a plain Jane building. It's a C building. Yet the C building still generates very good revenue with good rents because it's in good condition and it's in a good location close to the downtown, easy walking to all amenities as well. You want to look for a motivated seller, especially at this time in the marketplace. People with long-distance ownership, they get tired of dealing with the bad tenants. They get tired with the maintenance issues, tired with dealing with all of those headaches because they didn't understand the value of having good property managementship. So having good property managers in place will alleviate these problems, but that's what you're looking for, the property that doesn't have good property managers, because your seller is now going to be so sick and tired of the property, they'll be happy to look at offers. And that's exactly what's happening with the deal I'm working at with my student right now, long distance management. We were just at the property today. It was filled with bad tenants. Property is extremely tired and run down. It's about a 3.5–4 hour drive from the owner of that property, and they just want to dump the property. So that spells a huge opportunity for the student. He's very excited. Oops, sorry. So again, upward trending neighborhoods, take advantage of that. The unfortunate thing is that with apartment buildings, you can't be quite as selective as to where you buy these properties because there's not as many of them out there as there are single-family homes. With the apartment buildings, you're going to be focusing more on your upper lower income and your lower middle class individuals. It's this class bracket that are unfortunately most likely never going to be in home ownership positions. Therefore, they become your tenants. And there's a lot of tenants in the middle and lower income as well, but you want to focus on the upper lower and the lower middle class because you're now dealing with tenants who are out there working and you know, they've got cars, they're going to take better care of your property as well. Again, focusing on a diversified economy so that you can ride out those economic downturns a little bit better. Again, in your backyard, absolutely. I strongly suggest and urge you to buy something in your backyard within an hour if possible. Unfortunately, though, it's very challenging to find something within that 1 hour simply because there's not as many apartment buildings as there are single-family homes. So the key to your success of investing outside of your backyard is to have that excellent property management team. Public transit, same thing, 15-minute walk at the most, close to parks, shopping, schools. All right, so what's our next steps here? So if you want to learn more about how to profit greatly in challenging times, then you'll want to make sure to attend our upcoming Alberta Jumpstart Property Investing one-day bootcamp. So we have this one-day live training event in Edmonton, September 24th, repeating it in Calgary the following day, September 25th. It's going to be a full day, and we're going to start off with myself and Dave doing presentations, and Mark Frentz is also going to be there doing a presentation. Collectively, we've raised millions of dollars in capital for deals in the past. We have lots of mistakes that we can share with everybody that we have learned from, so that you can get your results much more quickly. The opportunity to network with like-minded investors is phenomenal. Get out of your house, get out of your environment, get out and talk to people of like mind as well. And it's a great place to find business partners and support group as well. It's a working lunch. We have lots of bonuses included, actually over $100 worth of bonuses. And it's a perfect addition to to the online training courses. Now, maybe you are already in the position that you know what you want to buy. You know where you want to buy and how you're actually going to buy it. So the question is, what's stopping you from moving forward? Why have you not already done so? Now, if you're looking for that answer, and I know for many years I was looking for that answer because I had the tools available to me, but I didn't know what was holding me back. Why couldn't I move forward? Well, this is where you're going to learn from Mark Frentz. Mark has his master's degree in psychology, and he's literally helped hundreds of people do things they never thought they'd ever possibly be able to do. He focuses on he is a real estate investor himself. He actually started investing when he was about 19 years of age. He was a student of mine and a student of Dave's. We've become very good friends. I respect Mark very, very much. His favorite study is neuroscience and how the brain actually works. He's very, very passionate about it. So he's going to help present on day one, the first thing in the morning. He's going to start off with a kickstarting to your real estate success. He's going to share with you that success leap, how to leap over the mediocre majority to succeed where others have failed. Get through those roadblocks, the detours, and their workarounds, harnessing that pain and pleasure to succeed in real estate. He's going to share with you the 5 secrets to your success as an investor, not just as a person, but specifically as an investor. Why we do what we do, or fail, more importantly, why we fail to do what we know we should do. That's a big one. So Mark's going to start the day off there.
Okay, yeah. Just to clarify, so is Mark really going to be helping us to uncover our why behind real estate investing?
He's going to go through an exercise with us to help us uncover our why for sure.
Yeah. And do you mind touching on why that's so important?
Well, I always look back and it amazes me when I took the real estate courses, and there was another couple that were doing the same courses as us, and at that time we were also involved in some personal development. And we went through the courses and we took action and we saw the results. The other couple, they didn't take the personal development, they didn't take any action, spoke with them a couple years later, and they claimed that the program was no good. It was a joke. The exact same education, yet it worked for us but not for them. So it really had nothing to do with the program, it had everything to do with them. And I didn't really put it together until years later when I started to hear people talk about why. Why are you wanting to do this? It's the motivator. So when things get tough, do you put your tail between your legs, give up, and run home? Or do you put your head down and you just bowl through that brick wall and achieve your goals? And the biggest difference is knowing your why. If you have a very clear, passionate, strong why, then you're going to go through that wall, over that wall, around that wall. You'll find a way to succeed. If you've got a very weak why, or you don't even have a why at all, and no passion to achieve the goal, then the first obstacle you come up to, you're going to quit. And we all have that why. It's just a matter of discovering it and magnifying it, focusing on it, and becoming passionate about it. So it's extremely important to know that and understand that, because that's what's going to help push you over the top when the going gets tough.
Now I know that you've taught us a similar section at several different workshops and boot camps in the past, and that's always been a big aha moment for a lot of the attendees. So if you've never been through that kind of an experience, I highly recommend that you come out to one of these events, not just for the education, but also for the insight. Because again, like Ken's saying, I mean, getting the information on how to do real estate investing, um, that's relatively easy. What's more difficult is really dialing in and uncovering why the heck do you want to do this in the first place? What really motivates you? What's going to keep you motivated when the times get a little bit tough? So I think this is really, really huge. And what I found at the end of some events, some people have said that that was the most impactful part of the whole program, was just really dialing that in. So if you haven't been through something like that before, I highly recommend that you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's phenomenal, and this is truly the secret to your success that most people fail to recognize and to expand upon and master. Once you master that, there's no stopping you.
What I love about this is Mark is not only a shrink, which he is. He's a psychologist, not a shrink, but he's a professional psychologist, and he's a professional real estate investor, and he's Albertan. So it's like the perfect trifecta. It's all of this bundled into one, and he's going to be speaking. He's going to be a big part of this event. So I highly recommend that you get to know Mark Fritz.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so then session number 2, as myself, I'm going to be starting off talking about getting into the big deals and why the big deals, translate into bigger profits for you as an investor and achieving the biggest profits in the business. So why now is the time for you to do your first big deal as well. We'll talk about where these deals are going to be located. I'll share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that the novice investors are going to be, I see them making, and how you can avoid them, as well as the top 3 ways to get started on your own big deals right away. We then will break for our lunch. Lunch is included because we deliberately do this in order to keep everybody in the room because of the impact of the networking. The opportunity to sit with other like-minded people and share your experiences, hear their experiences, create friendships, partnerships is just phenomenal. So highly recommend that you stay for the lunch.
Exactly.
After lunch then,
now,
go ahead.
And it's also a great way to keep us on time and on schedule. So we'll all be starting lunch at the same time and wrapping things up so we can keep on track that way as well.
Yep, for sure. Then right after lunch, I will share with everybody in session 3 the big portfolio cash flow from just a few single-family homes. So investing in the big deals is not for everybody. So I'll share with you why investing in real estate is such a moneymaker with the 7 profit centers and how you can actually achieve more with less. And what I'm talking about here is where you can actually achieve good positive cash flow with as few as 5 properties, how you can retire with just those 5 properties. I'll also share with you my secret of earning well over 50% returns on each and every real estate investment I have. I have nothing close to 50%. Everything is well over that. Share with you my $7,500 a month passive income blueprint as well with as few as 5 homes. Then, Dave, why don't you jump in and tell us what you're going to be doing in session 4 here?
Sounds good. Throw up all the bullet points.
All of them?
So again, my session is going to be all about magnetically attracting investors to you to raise all the money you want to do all the deals that you want to do. So this is all about getting your phone to ring. So instead of you making cold calls, this is turning that thing right upside down and having interested potential money partners calling you, emailing you, asking you to give them more information about your deals. We'll also be looking at who you should be approaching and who you should definitely avoid at all costs when it comes to raising money, and my 5 simple steps to success for attracting all these investors and raising all the money you want to do all the deals that you want. So again, this is the exact same 5-step process that Ken and I have used to raise millions of dollars for our apartment building deals. My students have used to raise millions of dollars. It works. It works in Alberta. I've got one student who just recently raised over $1 million. I mean, by recently, I mean in July, to buy a property in Edmonton. So this stuff works. It works in Alberta. It works right now. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on.
And it's actually, it blends in so well with the two previous events, actually, or the two previous sessions, because it's all good and fine to learn how to buy the real estate or what it is you want to buy, but if you don't have very much money to begin with, you're going to run out very, very quickly. So, you're going to have to start raising capital. So this ties in perfectly with that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
So then we got, oh, why is that clicking? Hang on. There we go. And then we wrap the day up with session number 5. And this is one of my favorite. It's about getting creative with real estate. I just love solving problems. So I'll share with you how to get into real estate investing with little or no money and zero credit as well. The trick to profiting no matter what's happening in your real estate market. So it doesn't matter if the market's going up, down, sideways, or whatever, there's always money to be made in real estate. So this is the, actually I'll let you jump in here, Dave.
Okay.
You want to?
All right, so again, this is a one-day boot camp. This is the first time that Ken and I are doing this in Alberta. We're going to be coming to Edmonton and Calgary. We'll be doing an event in Edmonton on Saturday, September 24th, and then in Calgary on Sunday the 25th. If you've taken any previous real estate investing training, this is a perfect addition to what you've already taken. It's a way to get focused, to get clarity on what you want to accomplish. As you can probably already tell from the presentation tonight, Ken is a master at what he does. He's a phenomenal trainer. I don't know anybody who's more generous when it comes to free training events as far as the actual educational component of them. Nobody does it as well as Ken does. So it's a way for you to get a full one-day training boot camp with Ken, with Mark, with myself. It's a great way to network and hang out with other like-minded investors as well. Go ahead to the next slide there, Ken. So we're going to be including, not only your lunch is included, but you also get 3 big bonuses. So Ken and Joanne's book, How to Buy and Manage Investment Property. This is phenomenal for any kind of rental properties that you have, whether it be a single-family house, a duplex, an apartment building, whatever it is. Ken and Joanne have experience with this, and together they have put together a fantastic resource in this book, How to Buy and Manage Investment Property. If you're looking at creative ways to get into real estate investing, Rent-to-Own Profits for Canadians by myself and my big brother Dan, that'll be included. That's another $24.95 value. And Money-Making Marketing for Canadians. This is a book that I did a few years ago with over 10 of Canada's leading marketers. So why do we have a marketing book in here? Because real estate investing is a business. If you're going to treat it like a business, you need to know about marketing. So this is one of the bonuses, Money-Making Marketing for Canadians, another $24.95 value. So here's the big time investment for this boot camp. If you'd like to come by yourself, it's just $47. That includes your lunch. That includes all the bonuses. That includes a full day of training. If you want to bring a friend, then the 2 of you can come for just $67. You can go to CanadianProfitsEvent.com. I put the link in the chat box there so you can click directly on that. Here's the deal though. These are very small, intimate trainings. So we're limiting each one to a maximum of 40 attendees. So you can come to Edmonton on Saturday, September the 24th, maximum of 40 people there, or Calgary the next day, Sunday, September the 25th. These are full days events starting at 9 o'clock. Registration starts at 8:30 and it goes until 5 p.m. Now we don't have the locations up there on the screen because locations are given upon registration. We can't take people coming at the door because again we're including lunches, so we need to know our numbers and have that all firmed up before the actual day of the event. So if you'd like to register for that, again, very limited seating. It's only $47. If you come by yourself, if you want to bring a spouse or a friend, it's just $67, and that's for 2 people. It is a phenomenal deal. That's definitely not a moneymaker for us. We're just basically trying to cover the costs of the room and the lunch with that and give you a full day of education. Go ahead to the next slide there, Ken. Not only that, it's only $47, but if you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. So what does that mean? That means you can attend the boot camp until noon. If you don't love it, you don't like it, if you're not happy for any reason, just let us know for a full refund on the spot. No hassles, no problems. Now here's the deal. you have to let us know before noon. We're not going to feed you lunch and give you all the bonuses and then give you your money back. So if you're not happy by lunch, let us know. We'll get you the full refund, and no hassles, no hard feelings. So again, CanadianProfitsEvent.com. Do me a favor if you can, Ken. Can you just click over to the website for a second so we can take people through very, very quickly? And then also we're going to open up for Q&A in just a second here, you guys. So when you go to CanadianProfitsEvent.com, this is what you're going to see. You've got $47, that's for one person. You also have the option for $67 for two people. And if you click on one of those, the Edmonton button or the Calgary workshop, that'll take you to a secure online registration form for that. So you just go through that quickly, Ken, if you just kind of scroll down. A little bit of information about each one of the speakers, each one of the different sessions, what we're going to be talking about, what you're going to be learning. Then we've got the different bonuses and the lunch and everything like that. So when you go to CanadianProfitsEvent.com, you can get signed up right away. So again, remember, we're keeping these events small and intimate because that's our preference. They're also very, very interactive, and this is a great place for you to mix and mingle and get to know some other like-minded local investors. All right, go ahead back to our last slide there, Ken, if you would. Current slide, very good. All right, so we're going to open things up for Q&A. We've got some questions here. If you have any more questions, go ahead and let me know as we're going along here. Mark asks, I own a small commercial property. How do I use the equity to buy more real estate?
So depends how much equity you have in the property. So you're only going to be able to go up to 80% loan to value if you use a conventional lender. And you can actually refinance that property. Actually, to refinance it, you can only go up to 80%. So if you currently have 50% on your first mortgage, you can pull out up to 30% of whatever the value of that property is. That's one way. It's very time-consuming, lots of red tape. The easier way to do it would be to place a second mortgage on that property through what I would suggest using is an RSP mortgage, because you can get negotiate relatively low interest rates as well. So I've negotiated as low as 4% on a second RSP mortgage because the investor was happy getting 4% because they were losing money in their RSPs before. So that's the easiest way to access it. Sorry?
These are the kind of things that we're going to be going over much more in depth at the boot camp. So again, if you want to come out and get a full day of training plus the opportunity to talk with Ken and the other experts live and in person, that's definitely the best way to do that. So we got another question here. Wouldn't it be more beneficial in a downturn like this to just to wait for a while and deal with even more distressed sellers when the prices get even lower than today's? So is it better to wait till the very bottom of the market?
Sure, if we knew when the bottom of the market was, first of all, that's the challenge, because you could be waiting for the bottom of the market and it starts to rebound, and there's going to be lots of sharks out there waiting for those same deals, and they're going to start snapping them up, and all of a sudden you may miss that deal of a lifetime. Or be aware that there's deals of a lifetime always. You just need to be, as I said earlier, as long as it's cash flowing today, then take advantage of it, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to be. The market could turn tomorrow and start going back up as well. It's that's the funny thing about real estate, is you don't know what the future holds for you. You only know what's today.
Exactly. So speaking of cash flow, one of the students asked, how much on average do you think is a good cash flow per door for a multifamily commercial?
So for larger properties, what I was taught was $75 to $100 per door is what you should aim for. That's pretty much what I've been able to achieve when it's financed to the maximum. And of course, it all depends on how you manage the property, how much you paid for it in the first place, but that's what you should be aiming for, is $75 to $100 per door.
All right, very good. Good questions, you guys. So we got another question here. Lana asks, I've got several properties. Do you think this boot camp will help us to propel further, even if, so if it's an experienced real estate investor, should they come out to this boot camp, or is it really just for beginners?
No, it's for anybody and everybody. What I've learned and developed the mindset is I don't care what the event is. If I just learn one little bit of nugget of information, it's worth it. And there's going to be more than one nugget of information that they're going to learn at this boot camp. Listening to Mark French speak, that in of itself is worth your entire day right there.
Not only that, but if you're focusing on single-family homes right now, there's also Ken's doing a complete section on how to take that up and start getting into bigger deals. So, yeah, definitely something for everybody here.
Yeah.
I've got a question here. So, Ken, do you prefer to buy single-family homes, up-down duplexes, or 10-plus unit properties? That's Rachel.
I still have a sweet spot for the apartment buildings. I'm drawn to them naturally. I like those. But I also very much like, if I'm going to buy a single-family house, it's going to be a suited house. I won't buy a single-family standalone house unless it either can be suited or is suited. That's the only way I see it being profitable enough for me to make it worth my while.
Sounds good. So we got a couple questions here. So what is a second mortgage? Is it something that's through the bank? So again, Ken, don't get into too much detail, but just the big picture, buddy.
Yep. I mean, when you're dealing with banks, they have a mortgage on the property. It's in first position, which means, when the property is sold, they get paid first. If somebody else lends money against that property, whether it be a bank or a private individual, it goes in second position, meaning that upon a sale, the bank gets paid first, the second mortgagee gets paid second.
All right. Good, concise answer, my friend.
There we go. We're working on it.
So another student asks, do you use social media to find buyers and sellers?
You have to be very careful using social media or any marketing because of Securities Commission.
No, to find buyers and sellers, not for investors.
Oh, not for us. Yes, buyers and sellers. Yes, sorry, yes. I don't so much now, but when I first got started, even bandit signs worked back in the day when I got started.
Social media, Facebook and that stuff.
Sure, yes, because people know people. There, concise.
All right, very good. So yes, social media works. Have you used LinkedIn before?
No, I have not.
All of these things are definitely possible. You can do whatever you like. You just have to be careful when it comes to raising capital and attracting investors. We'll be talking about that in depth at this boot camp as well. So again, you guys, any more questions, go ahead, type them in the question box. Otherwise, go ahead and get signed up, CanadianProfitsEvent.com. Looking forward to coming out to Edmonton and Calgary. We've already had 5 or 6 signups, so congratulations to everybody who's taken action right off the call. That's the way to do it. And again, this is going to be 2 very, very full day events, high impact, lots of education. Got a question here. Oh, somebody's a little bit of a skeptic. So what's in it for Ken and I for putting on this $47 event? Okay, good question. So Ken and I are very passionate about training and showing people how to invest in real estate. And on top of that, we're going to be offering you additional resources and training if you would like to take your education to the next level. So some people are worried that these kind of introductory events turn into a pitch for a $30,000 or $40,000 coaching program. That's definitely not the case here. Ken and I have Ken's got a couple of different training programs that are available, very, very reasonable. It's definitely not a high pressure pitch-a-thon by any stretch of the imagination. And if you just had a taste of the kind of education that Ken Beaton provides from this webinar, put that on steroids, and that's what this event's going to be all about. So we're putting on a low-cost event to get you out there, give you a taste of what the training's like. If you'd like to get further training, that's completely possible, but there's going to be no high-pressure pitches or anything like that. So come on out and don't worry about that. Anything that you'd like to add for that, Ken?
No, I think that's That's fair. I mean, and not every presentation is a pitch at all. So there's
Exactly.
lots of good quality free information.
And you're getting lunch and bonuses, so you can't beat that. So, got a
Yeah.
question, where's the event being held in Edmonton? Well, the exact location is given upon registration. So when you register, you'll get a confirmation email telling you where we're going to be holding that. Again, we aren't making that public because we need to take pre-registrations because we're giving everybody lunch. So we need to know our exact numbers. Just to let you know, it is going to be towards West Edmonton Mall. Is that correct, Ken?
Yep, it's in the West End.
Yeah, that side of the town. That side of town. Um, and if you'll get the full details when you register for the event. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Give me a second here, Ken. A few more good questions here. Okay, so I don't have very much real estate experience yet. Will this be too advanced?
Absolutely not. Nope. It's a great way to get your feet wet and hear other people's stories as well.
Yeah, so we're going to be covering some advanced topics, but a lot of what's going to be covered at the boot camp is completely applicable for newbie investors, especially when Ken's talking about how to do creative deals. So if you don't have a lot of cash for deals, that's going to be a really good session to attend. If you want to figure out how to create a full-time income with as few as 5 properties, that session is going to be very, 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 very valuable. So newbies, novice investors, experienced investors, there's something for everyone at this boot camp. Okay. Got a question here. Do you invest in the States?
No, I don't. I've been tempted many times, but I just have never had the time to go down to learn how to do it properly. And there's just been no need because I've been able to invest here in Canada and do very well.
And now that everything's on sale in Alberta, why not invest in Alberta? Exactly. Okay,
Yep.
Gary says, I'm in. See you there. Good to see you, Gary. Look forward to seeing you again. All right, very good. So we got lots of the questions getting answered here. Okay, got one here this week. That date isn't very, very convenient. Are we going to be doing another event like this anytime soon? Short answer, no. Basically, that's where it's at. This is a little bit of an experiment. We're going to see how things go in Alberta, and then we may do more of these, but it'll be in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, etc. We probably won't be back to Alberta with this event for at least a year. So now's the time if you want to take part in that. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, you guys. Well, that's about it. So Ken, if you don't mind, just leave that slide up for a while, and we'll let people click on the link and get registered. And looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks, my friend, at
Absolutely, likewise.
these Jumpstart property investing boot camps. It's going to be a lot of fun, be very, very educational, be enjoyable to see lots of folks out as well. And yeah, this is definitely the best bang for your buck you're going to get when it comes to real estate investing education. So Ken, good job on the presentation tonight, as always. You definitely did a fantastic job. I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate the opportunity to be on the call with you and to speak with everybody on the call here tonight.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody. We'll leave the slide up there, Ken, so don't shut anything down. Just leave that up, and you
Okay.
can. I'll just mute us, and we'll take it from there. So we got
Sounds good.
All
Thanks
right.
very much.